Yes! Welcome back to another Music Maker guitar video. Josh here, as always, at your service. Please do click the like button, click the subscribe button, leave me a comment, let me know what you think about these things, and thank you to the new people that have been doing exactly those things. So I see you, and I promise I'll get to all of those comments like I've been doing. So that said, today, actually, I want to do a really simple one. I showed you some chords that I'm playing with. That's my little chord progression. We're going to get to that later. But I wanted to actually just go through my entire practice routine today and actually just show you everything that I'm doing in it, everything that's going on. I do these every day the same way. Then other things that I practice, like I kind of just like add that. But like I can get this little routine done in about 10 minutes. So I'm going to run through it, maybe run some text on the bottom, but you should be able to see my fretboard most of the way through this. And I like the old Korg Metronome. You can achieve the same thing with a phone metronome or a computer metronome or, hey, I'm recording with Ableton. I probably could have just done this in Ableton, but I'm just going to go ahead and use this because I'm old school and this is what I'm used to practicing with. So first thing I do, let's turn the light on. Hopefully you guys can see that. But first thing I do is I set the metronome to 30 BPM. That's really slow. But what you're practicing is doing the subdivisions. And I had a teacher way back when tell me, when you practice at a slow tempo, you're not practicing playing slow. You're practicing playing quickly at a slow pace. And what that means is you want your pick and your finger to basically move simultaneously at the same time. It's a fast motion, whether you're going slow or whether you're going fast. So that said, I'm going to go ahead and tilt the camera down a little bit so you can see my picking and everything. And I'm also going to tilt the mic away so you can hear the click. And that said, I'm just going to run through these things. I'll do a little explanation before each one. So here's the first one. This is just tone practice and rhythm practice. So that's the first one. It's really just playing every note 1 through 12, and the concentration is on playing really clean tones and even volumes. Because the thing happens right here between the 6th and 7th fret where the volume actually changes. If I play my pick the same volume, this note's a little louder. So you have to adjust your fingers when you're playing through that, and especially like around here. Like this note I have to play a little softer, and then that louder, and then louder, softer, softer. So it's a little bit of a subtle thing that you need to do, and you also have to make sure that there's no string noise as you're going up and down. That's a big part of the practice. Again, you're controlling the tone, and I'm never against like making these noises when you play. One of my favorite noises ever is the noise in Stairway to Heaven that Jimmy Page makes. Right, that little scrape in that. But that said, you want to be able to control it. You want to do that intentionally and not just have it happen by accident. All right, so that's the first one. Second one, I'm keeping the metronome same speed, this 30 BPM. And again, this is more of a finger stretching practice here. And I practice this at fret 1 because your frets are bigger there. But if you want to move it up to like fret 5 or fret 7 while you start these, that's totally fine. So here's the metronome again, still 30 BPM. That last one is a little tricky. It's C chromatic scale running in both opposite directions with everything happening at the same time. And again, as little string noise as possible. That one's a bit of a doozy with the pinky stretch and no making string noise. By the way, good morning. Coffee cheers. All right, that's the last of my exercises at 30 BPM. Next thing I do is arpeggio trees. And I do these at about 4. I'm actually pushing it to 50 today. I don't know if I'll play it perfectly. I might have a clam or so in there, but that's okay. That's part of the morning practice. Pushing yourself. That's pretty much all of those chord inversions. There's a couple that I skip, like I don't do minor sixes, and the reason I don't do minor sixes is because they actually kind of equate into major 7 chords a little bit. So they kind of borrow from each other. So and the minor 7 flat 5 between those two, yeah, they just. Yeah, minor sixes, major sixes, they just kind of actually share a lot of voicings with some of those other ones. So there's not much point in practicing them, at least for finger dexterity, you know. Maybe if you want to do them as a brain exercise, that's cool. But I just don't include those just because they become redundant. All right, so that's my 50 BPM practice. Now, the other thing that I do at I usually do these between 50 and 60. But I'll keep this one at 50 today to keep it nice and slow. And this is an exercise that Tomo gave me when I practiced with him. And it was to just do a blues. And what he told me at the end was basically you can do this as complicated or as simple as you like. When you're starting out, you want to start simple. So I'm going to actually do even simpler than a blues. I'm just going to play a 1 chord and a 4 chord. And I'll show you those. But then if you get more complicated and you want to actually stretch this out to playing blues and then maybe learn some jazz chord changes or make your own chord changes like I was doing in the beginning of this video, then that is something that I would absolutely work on and practice. But that's kind of my other thing for the week. We'll get to that as soon as I'm done with this one. But anyways, the point of this practice is to comp for yourself and to play melodies. And a lot of the time, I try to keep everything as simple as possible because then that makes it so that you can orchestrate a little better. Because what you have to do is you have to actually, so everybody talks about phrasing when they're soloing, but I think that you have to, when you do this practice, you have to phrase your chord playing and you have to phrase your soloing, and you have to phrase them so that they kind of call and respond to each other in some kind of way. So that said, that is the exercise, and that's the practice, is practicing phrasing your playing so that it's a full orchestrated improvisation. So that said, I'm going to get to it, and I'm just going to, again, keep the beat at 50 BPM, and the chords I'm playing are these. It's an A7. It's my one chord. We'll call it 1-7, and then D7. Okay, so it's just 1 and 4 from a blues. If you want to make it spicy, I might throw this chord in. Same chord as the 4 chord, but 2 frets higher. It's an E7, if anybody's interested in that little piece. Again, you can make these things as easy or as complicated as you want. Again, the practice is with orchestrating. And I find it's actually really difficult after you start learning to play like rhythm changes and like jazz standards and doing things that are more complex to just go back and do something really, really simple. So I often find that, I'll spend a day doing a simple thing and then another day doing something more complex. And that way I don't really like lose the feeling for just being able to hang on one chord. Anyways, that said, here we go. So that's it. That's the main thing. It's just to play, and to have as much fun with it as you can. I kept that one relatively short just for the sake of the YouTube video. I do have one more thing that I do. I'm not going to do that one today, but I have just an original piece. You kind of, I feel like as guitar players, we do something. At least if we're trying to really, really hone what we do on this instrument, like you as a person, right? If you're really trying to figure out what that thing is, you try and do like a little bit of writing every day. And what I've done for my last thing that I practice every morning, I'm always like adding to it and editing and subtracting. But I try and have like a signature piece that just kind of exploits all of the things that I'm especially good at on the instrument. So I have one that kind of highlights some chord playing and rhythm guitar and clean tones, some hammer-ons and pull-offs, and just some things that I do. I'm going to skip it for now so we can talk about the intro chords. And again, basically, this is something that I do to help with my writing. And something that I've been doing this week, and actually I'll be working on this all month, is I'm taking this online course with world-renowned producer. He does some really, really amazing, like, EDM stuff. It's different. It's not guitar music, so don't go over there expecting that. It's electronic stuff and mostly dance music, and I think he was calling it psytrance. Forgive me, electronic music people. I'm not super familiar with that stuff. I'm just a guitar player. So, but that said, I'm working on some of my Ableton production techniques in that class. So something I'm going to be working on is my writing and tracking things into Ableton and producing them. And something that I've been doing for a while on this channel is just writing chord progressions with loops, and I do those for the most part to do lessons with. And I'll probably still use some of these for lessons, because why not? But I'm also going to go ahead and use them for music that I'm attempting to produce here. So that said, this one is... It's not all diatonic. It's got a little bit of modulation here. So forgive me for not being able to just give you one scale that goes with this. Use your chord tones and use melodies appropriately, right? But what I did was I used these chords. So it's an A major 6. Then to C major 6. That's like a flat 3 major chord. That's not really in the key. C would clash with C sharp in this chord. So that note is pretty out. And also, depending on, I mean, I guess you could assume a flat 7 here because of the 5th of the C chord, the C6, C major 6. You could, I guess, assume that, but I think a lot of the time when people hear this chord, they also kind of hear that, like a major 7. So if you're thinking about it that way, that note's going to travel down. So there's really not one scale to do with this, but there are notes in common. So what I've found is like E, this is the 5th. It's also the 3rd in the C6, C major. Then I left it there for the B minor chord, B minor 7. Again, this is just a note that we have in common. And then B major 7, sharp 11. The E is the sharp 11. And then I just like to have a note, like just one varying note. They call this note when you have a note that's in common, like and you're able to repeat it. They call that a pedal point. We were talking about that in class, so I wanted to make sure I wrote one into my loop this week, right? And I thought it would be cool. Yeah, this is a little funky here too. But again, like this is B flat major 7, sharp 11. But then for that movement, I just liked the little bit of counterpoint instead of just leaving this like doing like a major 7 with a 6th or a 13th in it. Instead of doing that, I like having this note move. Instead of doing... And that actually gives me my major 7 that I was talking about in the beginning. So again, if you're looking at like chord tones and trying to figure out what the 7th is that's implied, it really could go either way on that first major 6 chord. Because I could hear that. Or I could be hearing... major 7 there. So that's like a artistic choice that you can make. So I find that to be fun. The other thing that he was talking about was ostinatos, and so I was trying to come up with a line. Those notes all seem to work within every one of those chords. So I went ahead and I used that. I'll go ahead and play the loop so that I honestly can't remember my original idea. I improvise so much. There's a little just repeated. Really simple, you know what I mean? I think it's good to keep things simple because then that leaves you room, especially if you're improvising, it leaves you room to be able to develop more ideas on top of it. So anyways, I hope this was really helpful for you today. I'm going to go ahead and play my way out. And just have a great Technique Tuesday. Practice that guitar today. This probably went a little long, but I actually usually get this whole routine done in about 10 minutes because I don't talk. So I just run right through it. 10 minutes in the morning, and then whatever you need to work on like during the day. Like, you know, I've got projects I got to work on for Funk Norris, and I've got my class stuff that I need to do for Ableton, and I've got all these other things to practice today. So that's gonna develop my musicianship further for that. But you know, if you can get that first 10 minutes in, then I think it is really effective getting your hands warmed up and making you sound good in tone and getting your taste worked up so that when you go to practice other music later, it's not like you're still warming up when you're playing it. Because some of that stuff is hard, man. If you're not practicing music that challenges you, what are you doing? What are you doing? Anyways, have a great Technique Tuesday. I'll see you tomorrow for Warmoth Wednesday. I'll just jam on one of these Warmoth guitars here, and see you tomorrow. But, yeah, have a great day and play my way out.